Lesson 37 BB. We're going to continue talking about finding new price. Yesterday we learned how to do it the long way, and I call it the long way because it took 2 steps to find the answer, right? Find the discount first, then subtract it from the price. Find the markup first, then add it to the price. Find the tip first, then add it to the bill, right? Took 2 steps to do it. Today we're going to learn 2 more methods of how to do it, and I'm going to let you choose which method you're more comfortable with, and that's how you're going to do your homework. Okay? So some background knowledge is just to review everything you should know. In 6th grade you learned percent of a decimal, so just really quick, tell me what this would be. How about this one? And this one? Very nice. And then we learned percent of a number, so you take that percent and times the cost, so 0.62 times 120 to get your cost, and writing it as money. Then in 7th grade, we learned how to solve proportions. You can either use multipliers or upside down property, and we're all really good at this now, right? We're going to use this skill today. Everyone okay? So, number 1, it's going to be exactly the same problem as yesterday. You do not have to write anything down in the first left-hand column. I'm just going to review really quick what we did yesterday. You do not have to write it down, because we already did it yesterday. Markup is extra money you're paying. So we found markup first, which was $6.70. Then to find selling price, to see how much you're paying, is you have to add it back to the 10. So your final answer would be $16.70, right? So on your paper, you have 3 columns. That was the first column. The second column is with a proportion. I want you to write this down. We have a markup, which is increasing in price. That means you pay extra. So 100% would be the original price, right? That's $10. Plus markup, which is 67%, means that you're paying more than 100% of the cost. You're paying 167% of $10. Write that down. Write small, because you're going to write a whole bunch of stuff. Write this down. Now, as a proportion, remember we've been using the same proportion for a while now. Percent over 100 equals part over whole. The percent we're going to use is the 167%, because that's the selling price percentage that we just found. You are paying a total of more than just the cost, so that's 167%. So the number on top of the 100 is going to be bigger than 100, because you're paying more than $10. You're paying $10 plus markup. So 167 over 100 equals part over whole, and the whole cost of the CD is $10, so that's the bottom number. And we're solving for n. So you should write this down. Now quickly solve this proportion with me. Multiply both sides by 10. You get 1,670 over 100. Divide by 100 would be $16.70. Same answer. Just solving it as a proportion. Now the third column is the find the percent of a number. This is the fastest, easiest way to do it. If I were to do this math problem, I would do it this way, because it's faster. Using the same idea of 100% plus 67% would be how much you're paying is 167%. I want to know what 167% of $10 is. Go ahead and write this down in the third column. Write that down. Now 167% as a decimal would be 1.67. Times 10 would be $16.70. Same answer. But it's a lot faster. You do it in one step. It takes you straight to the answer. So some of you might be a little bit confused still about why we're using the 167 or how we got it. We're going to practice doing that after number 2, as you can see on your notes there. So let's just practice number 2 first. All right, so number 2. This is the same problem as yesterday. You don't have to write down anything in the first column. Just watch. This is a review of yesterday. We learned how to find the discount first, And since it's discount, it's on sale, we're paying less money. We're going to subtract that discount, which was $9, from the original price to find the sale price. So you, as a customer, you're paying $45 minus 9, which is $36. This is the long way. Takes 2 steps to do it. A lot of work, right? Today, I want you to write down the proportion way and the find a percent of a number way. So with a proportion, this is original price will be 100% of the price, right? The whole $45. Minus 20%, you're paying what percent? 80%. You as a customer, you're only paying 80% of the price. So 80 is the percentage we're going to use in our proportion. Please write down 80 over 100 equals part over whole. Which one's the whole? What's the whole price? 45. So we're solving for n at the top. So in the middle column on your notes for number 2, you're writing this down. Now solve for n. I would like you to reduce this ratio before you start solving, but I'm going to show it without reducing because some of you are still insisting to do it that way. Either way, you'll get the right answer, but making your life easier would be to reduce it. So multiply both sides by 45, and then you get 3,600 divided by 100, which is $36. This is how to solve it using a proportion. Okay, so let's do it the find the percent of a number way. That's the third column. Using the same idea of 100 minus 20% would be 80% is what you're paying. So I want to know what 80% of $45 is because that's how much money I need to take out of my wallet. You're only paying 80%. How much is 80%? So you're writing that down. 80% of $45. That would be 0.80 or 0.8 times 45, which is still $36. All in one step. This is the way I would do it. Okay. So let's practice finding those percents. If it's a markup, you're paying extra money, right? So that's going to be add or subtract. Add. So 100% of the price, always start with 100, plus the markup, which is 34%, means you as a customer, you are paying 134% of that price. You're paying more than the whole price. Extra money. If it's discounts on sale, you're paying less money. So this would be add or subtract. Subtract. So 100% of the cost minus 26 means you as a customer, you're paying how much? 74%. Always start with 100 because that would be the whole cost. Go ahead and finish all the way through number 7 because I think you get the idea here. Number 3, mark down of 33%. What would that be? Good. 100 minus 33 would be 67% because mark down, remember, is just another way of saying discount. 42% off, you're taking away 42%. Sure. 100% minus 42% is 58%. Good. You said 10. 5, a 19% tax. Tax is extra money you have to pay with the things that you buy. What would that be? Good. 119%. 21% tip. You have to pay tip on top of your bill. That would be 121%. And then last one, 43% gratuity. Remember, that's a fancy way of saying tip. What would that be, Alina? Great. 143%. So now turn to the back of your notes. Number 3, starting from now for the rest of these problems, I want you to just pick one method. And it has to be either the proportion way or the percent of a number way. I don't want you to practice yesterday's way because we already did that. You don't have to do both of them. Pick the one you like right now. Okay? Do you have to do both? No, you don't. Just pick the proportion way or the percent of a number way. So this is a markup. Make sure you use that percentage. And then set up your proportion or set up your percent of a number way. Go ahead and do this one. Okay, I'm going to show you all three ways. I told you not to do it the first way, but just to review. Yesterday we did it the long way. Find markup first and then add it back to the price. So markup only would be 25% of 60, which is $15. Then add it back to the 60 would give you $75. If you did it the proportion way, that would be you're paying 125%, right? Total, more than the whole cost. So your percent you're using is the 125 over 100, and the whole is 60, so that's the bottom number. And then you solve for n, which gives you $75. Then the fast way, the one that I like, is the 125% of 60, which is 1.25 times 60, which gives you $75. Who got this one correct? Who did it the percent way? I mean the third way, the fast way. Who did it the proportion way? Okay, yeah. Let's try number 4. This one is discount, so make sure you are using the correct percentage. Please pick either the proportion way or the find the percent of a number way. Pick one of those two. So discount only would be $15. I mean, not $15, $25.60. So multiplying 32% of 80, and then subtracting that away from the 80 would give you $54.40. That was yesterday's way. Today I asked you to do proportion way or percent of a number way. So the original price is obviously 100%, right? The whole price, $80. But if you take away how much you're not paying, which is because it's on sale, discount of 32%, you're only paying 68%. So that's the percentage you're going to use in your proportion. 68 over 100 equals part over whole, and the whole thing costs $80. So that's the bottom number. Solve for n, you should get the same answer, $54.40. The fast way, which I see that most of you did, was 68% of 80. So 0.68 times 80 would still give you $54.40. Whoops. So I see that so far all of you have picked to do it this fast way. So from now on, because number 7 is coming up and it's a little bit different, and I want to clear things up right now. If you're doing it the fast way, that's great, because that's the way I like it too. But I want you in your proportion column to just set it up. You don't have to solve it, but just set it up. For number 5, right. If you're doing it the fast way, also set up the proportion way. You don't have to solve it that way. If you're already solving it the proportion way, there's nothing else you need to do. Okay? So for number 5, if you're doing it the fast way, please also set up the proportion way. Go ahead and do number 5. I'm going to show you all 3 ways. Yesterday we learned to find tax only and then add it to the cost. So tax only would be $6. Then plus how much you actually have to pay to buy your stuff was $75. So that's a total of $81. Today I asked you to set up your proportion, even if you didn't solve it that way. So 100% of the price plus the tax, which was 8%, means you're paying 108%. So 108 over 100 equals part over whole. The whole thing was 75, so that's the bottom number. Everyone should have written this down, even if you didn't solve it this way. Multiply both sides by 75, and you should get $81. The fast way would be finding out what is 108% of 75. So 1.08 times 75, you still get 81. So this is the 5th problem in a row now where we have been given in the problem the whole, right? This is the whole. Part over whole, and they give us the whole. And most of you have been doing it this way, and I asked you to set it up with a proportion. So what happens if they give us the after. That's going to be number 7. But again, for number 6, go ahead and just practice one more time, setting up the proportion and either solving it that way or solving it the fast way. I'm going to do it all 3 ways. Yesterday we learned gratuity first, then add it onto the bill. So gratuity only would be $9.50 plus the $47.50 would give us a total of $57 that we need to pay. The proportion way, I asked everyone to set it up so you're paying 120%. So that's 120 over 100 equals part over whole. The whole price was $47.50, so that's the bottom number. You should get n equals 57. And then the fast way that I see most of you guys have chosen to use, that would be what is 120% of 47.50. So 1.2 times 47.50 is 57. So far, they've given us the whole and we solve for the part. This 57 right here, this is the after, right? That's the after gratuity, after tip, after tax, after markup. We've been solving for the after price, right? And it's always been the top number. N was the top. Do you agree? So for number 7, before you start even doing that problem, I want you to write this down. So far we've had percent over 100 equals part over whole, and they've been giving us the whole and we solve for the part. Another way to think of this is that the part is the after. We've been solving for after and we've been writing the before. Please write this whole thing down. And if you forget which one's the after or before, you can think of that as alphabetical order, A over B, after over before. Since this one is asking for before the discount, it says after a 20% discount, the price of a skateboard is $140. That's after all the work is already done. The price that you're paying is $140. That's what we've been solving for, but now they already told us the answer. I want to know what the price was before the discount, the original price, before it went on sale, which will be the bottom number, right? Looking at this proportion we just wrote. So on your paper, don't solve it yet. Just set up whichever method you want to use, proportion or the fast way. What math problem would you use to solve this problem to find the before price? Don't solve it yet because just in case you set it up wrong, I don't want you to do all that work for nothing. Just set it up. So I see a lot of you have tried to do it the proportion way, which is good because that's what we just wrote, but you have your 140 in the wrong spot. This is why I didn't want you to solve it yet. So let's talk about this. The original price was 100%, right? We don't know what that is. That's what we're trying to find. Minus the discount, which was 20%, means you're paying what percentage of that cost? You're paying 80%. That's the sale price. And we know what the sale price is. That's $140. So your part over whole should be 80 over 100, just like we've been doing. But the 140 is the part. That's the after price. So you should be writing 140 on the top. Remember, this was after over before. So this one was the after price. It should be on top. A lot of you had it on the bottom. So go ahead and fix that. And then solving for n, you should get $175. Now a few of you did try to set it up the fast way. Now remember, 140 is the answer that we already know. That's the original price. So far we've been setting up like this. 80% of the old price is the after price. But now that we don't know what the before price is, it's still in this in order. So far we've been solving for this and multiplying these numbers, but now we don't know what that is. When we don't know something, what do we use? What do we use? To substitute something that we don't know the value of. A variable. You can use x or n or whatever you want. So you're going to write a little mini like equation here. I'm going to use x equals 140. 80% of something, so 80% times x equals 140. And then you're going to do what Adrian said. You're going to divide to solve for x. So again, so far we've been solving for this and multiplying this, but now we're solving for the one that was before. And you should get the same answer, which is $175. So your setup is the same proportion. Your setup is the same equation, but your x is now in a different spot because we are given the part instead of given the whole. Understand? So for number 8, I want you to do that one on your own. This one is a markup, so make sure your percentage is correct. Either the proportion way or the fast percent way. So here we have original price, which is 100%. This is a markup, meaning you're paying extra money. So that's plus 25%. You're paying 125%. So that's the percentage you're going to use, whichever method you picked. 125 over 100 equals, they gave us a part. The before price was the one that we're looking for. So after is the part. That's the 75 on the top. You should get n equals $60. It was originally $60, and now you're paying $75. If you did it the fast way, the percent of a number way, you're doing 125% of something is 75. What is that old price? So that's your x that you're dividing for. X is $60. Who got this one correct? Great job, you guys. So you can use the proportion way or the percent of the number way. You just have to think about it. Is it a before question? Are they giving me the whole or the part? And on your homework, remember it's mixed up. Is it discount only or is it new price? Okay? Any questions about today's lesson? You can pick whatever method you want on your homework. Number 1, what did you learn today? Ready? Share.